Hello everybody and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. Today we're taking a look at a match that was played on one of my favorite maps of all time, Sector 318C. After all these years, I finally memorized all them numbers and letters. Spawning on the northeastern side, representing the blue team as a Cortex commander, goes by the name of Eggroll. 30 true scale, hailing from America and boasting a silver chevroned tail. Certainly going to be showing us some good stuff up here on the northern side. All the way in the same lane, but across the map, on the side of the red team, the man that I've been informed is actually a bad word, but I don't know if YouTube cares about it if it's in another language. Orlani Zykus, the red team leader. Also, well, actually not also, but as an Armada commander, going to be going into bots. This is one of those matchups that I absolutely love. Good old-fashioned Cortex versus Armada bots. Sure, there are fancier matchups out there, but this is always the one that it just makes my day complete, right? If I'm watching a game of bar and I don't get to see some Cortex versus Armada bots going at it, just doesn't feel like I've really got my bar fix. I love this map. I love this map for the gas bags and especially for the tentacle plants. I love how alien it makes the world feel. It actually feels like we're fighting over some faraway contested planet. The Armada versus Cortex bots fighting over these bizarre new worlds and their resource-rich deposits. I love that sort of atmospheric world building here. One of the things I also love about this map in particular, on more of a gameplay standard, is that it's intentionally imbalanced. It's built in such a way that there are 3 commanders on the northern side here versus just 2 in what I guess you could consider this lane right here. I'll go ahead and delete that. And then we have 3 over here on the southern side, and then of course 2 over here. So you have this intentionally sort of imbalanced engagement right here, where either one of these teams is going to have to break their line, and the other 2 are going to try and hold against the unstoppable waves. Now it's not entirely unbalanced, because you do get quite a lot of metal in the backline here. You get 9 metal per second, and then all of these metal extractors as you move forward, versus this commander which gets 1, 2, and eventually, whoops, pardon me, eventually 4 metal extractors up here, but these are just 2, 3 metal per second. Essentially, you get 2/3 of the economy of your opponent over on the other lane. So, metal-wise, it's eventually even. But it does mean that once this third player, which usually is an eco player, gets into the game, things start to take a turn for the worst here on the imbalanced side of the map. Now, I expect the red commander as well as the yellow commander, Zykus as well as J-Dog, to both go into, well, an efficient army for that match. We should probably see Resbots in large number. We should probably see quite a lot of those sturdier units. I'm expecting maces and thugs and all sorts of good stuff. Well, actually just maces. These are all Armada commanders, taken after my own heart. Armada commanders, all in red and yellow here. So we're probably going to see a lot of maces, a lot of Resbots, all that sort of stuff. Like the J-Dog is pushing forward right here. It pays to be aggressive early on in this so that at the very least you can have as much metal off the map as you can in the early game. I also saw an energy storage over there, which is quite nice. A little bit of aggression on the southern side, but that energy storage is nice because when the wind speed is high, you definitely want to bank as much of that energy as possible. And then, of course, when it goes down, you want to be able to store the energy you get from reclaiming all the natural flora. Now, what do we have so far? A couple of grunts sneaking through here from Dinkbat, the hot pink commander. Not bad. Little engagement of incisors over here as well. Always nice to try and shut down your enemy's snowball before you really can, before they really can do anything with it, but that just reversed the cards. Zeeberg playing the age-old Uno reverse card here and flipping the tides. Now suddenly, way more incisors for the lime green commander than for the maroon commander. Gonna be a little bit difficult, yeah. Orin is expanding forwards with this constructor that's building these metal extractors. Always cool to see. Grabbing those mexes early on definitely means you're going to be in a great spot, especially as a vehicle player. You need those mexes early on. Same thing for Montezuma. Doesn't have anything to take revenge over right now, but certainly as the game progresses, we should expect to see quite a lot of heated revenge from this guy. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's an amusement park, and there's a ride called Montezuma's Revenge. Anyway, or at least that's where I know Montezuma from. I guess it's probably a figure of some sort or a person at some port. Dinkbat looking to set up a little bit of a fortification zone over here. I actually don't really like that positioning. I think it'd be a lot better to try and push to sit right in front of this ramp right here. If you put right here, then it means that you're supporting your teammate on this lane, right? So units can push in on this side, but you're going to have your teammate pushing in over here, and then you can apply pressure like this, and then if your teammate on the high ground over here needs, they can push down into this area as well to try and push in all the lines right here. So whatever player you're going up against right here, in this case, it's going to be Ginormous Johnson. Yeah, you're going to be able to push back on the Ginormous Johnson and eventually try and fold that player here. Both players going up to T2 in the back line right here. T2 lab already up and running for the purple commander, just about to up and complete here for the brown commander. 250 metal left in that corpse. Probably want to eat that up, although we're not really spending it. Yeah, wind speed has sort of plummeted right now, and it's continuing to lower. Definitely hurts. We are eventually going to eat all this up. I think we're trying to save that commander by not... Oh, never mind. Sometimes what people will do is try and save their commander up so that they leave like 1 or 2 metal in it so that at a later point they can resurrect it. I never have the patience to do that. I always end up eating it up on accident. Even if I want to try and save it, I always end up accidentally eating that commander with my res bots or construction bots or whatever I happen to be eating it with. 7511 now forced to deal with... yeah, don't think the bot lab was the intended effect there. Egg roll pushing back in this northern side as well. Rocket bots versus rocket bots. This is always a tricky one. Got to be so careful to make sure that your rocket bots stay continuously kiting here, and Egg roll's doing a great job of that. Rocket bot's a little more stationary right here, and this pretty much just comes down to who has better micro and who has, yeah, more and more units coming up to the front line here. The repair is also quite nice. Commander obviously able to repair most of these units on the front line, so as long as they're dancing around within the commander's repair range, they should be more than able to regain their health right here. Zykas knows that he's on the clock, right? T2 is going to be up eventually, so this red commander needs to be thinking about that always. Always has to take the most efficient trades whenever possible. Taking some hits on the commander. Not the worst idea. Oh, a lot of T1 going down up there, though. I think that was just a miss rally. Yeah, not bad. We have to keep as many of these units alive right here. The red commander, that is, has to keep as many of these units alive if they want to hold out on this front line. Love the fortifications over here. They actually do eat up a lot of those rockets, so it's nice to dance around those fortifications so that your rocket bots don't take as many hits, although you have to dance behind them, not in front of them. As indeed, Zykas has proven right here. Eggroll steps forward to kind of push back the commander from the red, and all said and done, I think this has been well held by the red commander. Zykas doing a great job of keeping the units in an efficient manner. Efficiency is key. Yeah, and this is the problem, right? So now Ginormous Johnson as well as Tolero are both going to have the opportunity to either spread forces up into this northern section, or this high ground section, I should say, or we could vice versa have Tolero send forces down and then to help push back Dinkbat. I think either one of these is a really, really good option right here, sort of skewing the balance of the push. That way one of these players has to fight a 2 versus 1. Do a bunch of grunts that were queued down there. Whether it's grunts, whether it's rocketeers, whatever we send to the front lines is going to help out tremendously on any of these lines. Rocketeers over here firing away at some of the static defense as well. Always good to see. There are shell shockers coming up. As soon as those shell shockers do start connecting with a lot of these rocketeers, you have to pull them back. Cannot afford to lose your shell shockers to a whole bunch of, or rather lose your rocketeers to a whole bunch of shell shockers. It's just a very inefficient fight. Zeeberg taking a little bit of damage here from these Rocketeers, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Once you push far enough forward, there's so many different lanes that you can aggress through. You can see all these different options that the yellow commander has in order to push units through. I'd love to see some some pawns or ticks built right now in order to push through, for instance, this lane. I could cut across in this direction, maybe even cut across in this direction, directly into the back line. Important to keep in mind all those different opportunity paths that do open up here. Heavy laser tower has also come up here. I don't mind it one bit. I think if you're gonna have to defend yourself and you're basically keeping your front line together, I think a heavy laser tower does make a lot of sense. Kind of push back a lot of these rocket bots. These are effectually unable to push in. They either have to make a full commit, otherwise there's no point in them pushing. Construction turrets on the front, patching all these units up together as well. Always good to see. Reclaiming whatever they can in the meantime, and then repairing everywhere else. We do have a T2 headed over, by the way. Medium tank in the back line. Ginormous Johnson suffering the wrath of the medium tank. Oh no. Where has unit production gone? Ginormous Johnson definitely not feeling great right now. Suddenly a medium tank in the back line, ravaging the economy. Solar panels suffering greatly. Why on earth aren't we producing units? You have the laboratory. 4 or 5 pawns absolutely cleans this up. Resbot eager to eat up all this wreckage. Okay, feels like you're you know, profiting off of your teammates' downfall there a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Not sure what Johnson's doing. Yeah, just having a little bit of an APM stall or something right now. Maybe the not using units to try and save up metal right now? I'm not entirely sure. I guess Ginormous Johnson is 1 chevron, so maybe a little too harsh of a judgment. For future reference, 2 or 3 pawns cleans up a single medium tank quite nicely. Just so you know, in case you happen to be watching this, Mr. Johnson. And this is the problem, right? So now you can see Montezuma has this nice forward operation right here, as well as Dinkbat. Dinkbat did eventually end up holding kind of around the line that I was hoping for. But now you can see Zeeberg is in a weird spot where any units that are sent north from Montezuma are going to head right into the army of Zeeberg, meaning that both of these fronts are going to be pushed in at the same time, and that would definitely hurt Zeeberg. It would force him offline. And then, I mean, likewise, we could also see J-Dog send some units down south here as well. That would completely squeeze Zeeberg out of this position right here. It's the kind of high-level strategic thinking that takes a lot of teamwork in order to accomplish, but if you manage to pull it off, it can be extremely, extremely efficient to pick off commanders one by one that way. Big old battle on the southern side as well. More and more aggravators headed to the fronts, firing away with whatever they can. More aggravators going down right here for Tolero, it seems, than in the orange color, though. There are some resbots here for 7511. No resbots available right now for Tolero, though. Little bit of a bummer. I feel like a satellite whenever I zoom out like that. Any of you ever watched the Resident Evil movies? They're pretty hilarious. I would definitely say to go give them a watch. I think a lot of them are on Netflix if you have it. Netflix. Anyways, there's always these corny scenes where it's like it'll play a satellite sound. Doop 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 doop, doop 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 doop. Reminds me of the old mini map sounds that you would get on like Command and Conquer and that sort of thing for the for the cutscenes. Anywho, random tangents aside, Zykus' heavy laser tower. Oh no. Oh no, the tower went down. Yikes. That was definitely a little bit of a bummer here. Just kind of a brain fart on the side of those construction turrets, on the part of those construction turrets. Ah, yeah, that burns. That really was a nice static defense, and for that to go down just so easily to a couple of these Wolverines, pardon me. Well, it's a sturdy beamer. It's a sturdy beamer, so at the very least it'll hold its own. This medium tank ball is threatening Zeeberg right here. It's so hard to get those medium tanks into a good position to snipe a commander, just because of the fact that if you ball them up even the slightest bit, the commander's going to have a field day de-gunning them down. Yeah, you can tell. Arin here wants to go for a little bit of aggression, but doesn't want to get caught by that commander. Zeeberg obviously wants to catch this big ball. Ooh, yeah, threatening with the D-gun right there. Obviously a very tricky thing to manage. 7511 building a whole bunch of static defenses over here. Probably fair enough. I mean, as soon as the Brown commander gets into this fight, and they will be getting into the fight in a little while here, we do have T2 rolling out of the factory, a whole bunch of Quaker. I think 5 Quaker up to the front line makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe 10 Quaker in total and 5 on each front line right here would be extremely helpful. Basically, the first T2 commander, those first T2 units to hit the field are going to be way more valuable than subsequent T2. The reason for that being that they're going to be going up against T1, which makes them quite good. Extremely efficient. Rocketeers on the high ground. Aggravators, pardon me. Cortex Rocketeers. Starting to blast away, but we do have T2 all the way up and running right now from Tolero. That's actually a really quick T2. For a frontliner right here, and I mean, he has won the entire lane so far, so I guess the T2 makes a whole lot of sense. But it still feels like that's a pretty quick T2. I guess we did have the T2 economy to help pay for all that as well. You can see Armada T2, which indicates that this T2 was bought from somebody, not out of the T2 lab of Tolero. Obviously, one of the better strategies, of course, buying your T2 from somebody else. 7511 in a little bit of trouble. Standing right in the middle of all this static defense and extremely low health. Oh no. 30%. 20%. Oh, those are flamethrower turrets. All right, pop-up flamethrower turrets will thwart the attack right there. My goodness, that was close. 7511 going down to just 15%. Was it even 10% there? I don't know. It was extremely low right there from the orange commander. Would be atrocious to have the commander go up in an explosion right here. You can see this would wipe out just about every bit of static defense that is available over here. Would be devastating. Likewise, T2 transition has gone through over here for the red commander, who does have a Fat Boy out on the field already. Quite nice indeed. Fat Boy obviously able to fire away from extra long distance, but also hits with a huge punch. Fat Boy has become more and more prevalent recently, I feel like. I think we've seen the Fat Boy become a more and more impactful tool as of recently. I, for one, am pretty happy about it. I feel like it was outshined by a lot of other units, and I do mean literally a lot of other units. You would choose to make, you know, 10 hounds or whatever it is, probably 4 hounds. What is the ratio of hounds to Fat Boys? 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, about 4 hounds to 1 Fat Boy. I think probably most people would take that pick. But if you can keep the Fat Boy alive, it definitely could be an extremely powerful workhorse on the front lines. Zeeberg's army looking extremely low on HP. It's easy to glance at this and think that this is a pretty high health army, but a high power army, but realistically this is not very many medium tanks. Not very much health in medium tanks, maybe a better way to put that. T2 plus T1 on the southern side, marching up here. The units are so clumped together, they're having a really hard time dealing with this flamethrower turret. My goodness. Just killer flamethrower turret. Beautiful, beautiful flamethrower turret. Orange Commander did go down here eventually, by the way, so that's the reason why we're being so bold, sending the units forward like this. Sheldon, Rocketeers, all sorts of good stuff. We do have the res bots eating all this up as well. Gonna be sending back hundreds and hundreds of metal per second to the blue economy right here. This should absolutely be game now. Pop-up Scorpion turret coming up here. Oh, blue player needs to jump on top of that. I don't think he will. Yeah, Tolero. Not quick enough with the push right here, and so that Scorpion turret will come up in time. I'm surprised. That Scorpion turret was a absolute cope. We desperately needed a Scorpion turret, but I had no faith in it actually coming up in time. But here we are. Scorpion turret to blast away a whole bunch of this T1 and T2. I mean, those Scorpion turrets are quite powerful for a static T2 defense. They're extremely, extremely good. Eggroll now with T2 of his own up on the northern side, going to start pumping out a whole bunch of those Banishers here, the heavy missile tank. I think technically those should be called heavy rocket tanks. I've talked about this in the past, but there's no clear delineation between a rocket and a missile in this game. Rocket bots fire a non-tracking missile. Missile trucks fire a big overarching missile. So which one is it? You tell me. I don't know. Have a discussion in the comment section down below. It's about time for that again. I still remember the last one, but maybe some new people are here to join us and give their critical insights. Tremor's been built over here. That's really nice to see, actually. This is a weird problem that the Tremor has now. They changed its targeting so that the end of its the end of its targeting reticle thing is the top of the box. You can see, you know, kind of what I'm showing you right here. What it means is when it locks onto something all the way out here, say for instance the thing is, you know, like say for instance it locks onto this mace, it'll never hit it unless the dot hits the actual mace right there. So you're way better off targeting past the unit you want to hit. I don't know. It's a really strange paradox for this unit. I never fully understood why they changed it away from being the big cross indicator. I guess it was just so it would be a more accurate measure, I suppose. I don't know. Either way, the Tremor's extremely powerful and extremely difficult to deal with here, especially on T1. Then again, it's not like there's really a whole lot of individual health in front of that Tremor there. Huh. Certainly could be an indicator that it's time to pull the trigger or fall back. Some sort of decision is going to have to be made. Sumo's heading up to the front line here for Tolero. Good to see. Those Sumos can definitely put in some work. A couple of bulls have pushed through as well right here. Yeah, they just snuck on around in this direction. Another headed directly into the back line. Really nice push right there from Zeeberg, actually. Finds an opening and then sends some of those heavy tanks through. Really cool to see. 3 bulls can definitely achieve quite a lot here. Does the blue team see them? Well, they do now. Bulls are spotted in the back line. If there's one thing I know, it's that you're unhappy to see a bull pop up in your back line. Absolutely nobody has a good day during the bulls in backline scenario. That's an EMP bomber right there, by the way. There it is. Yeah, EMP bomber coming in for the kill here. Well, kill, not the right word. Coming in for the stun. Beautiful EMP connection from both of those bombers. Will shut down both of those, or all 3 of those medium tanks right there. Very, very nicely done. I'd love to see some sprinters or some welders or anything really. Well, okay, I guess it doesn't matter with the EMP bombs falling on top of that lab right there. Very nice. Okay, some heavy tanks coming in to help clean all this up as well. And I think at the end of the day, this will be nice and neatly dealt with. Good reaction right there from the air player, getting those EMP bombers out in a timely manner. Used to shut down those bulls before they took down the T2 lab right there. Anarchy BBK, feeling the burn right here, right now. Oh, EMP bombers coming in for a nice little bombing run right here. Yeah, quite nice. All right, dropping that payload directly on top of that Tremor, with unfortunately no follow-up here from Ginormous Johnson. Plasma geothermal up and running. And man, does it lock down this area over here. Yeah, you can see how just how far away that thing can fire. The Cerberus, one of those things that we don't see all too often. It's kind of situational when it becomes useful. But every time it does become useful, it becomes really useful. Oh, this is so cheeky as well. Yeah, Tremor up on the high ground here, raining down fire on this entire area. It's in its focus fire mode. I'd actually like to see it switch between the focus fire to the other one, the longer range spread fire mode. Just so that it could hit everything in a big wide radius. Not that it really matters. Oh, what's going on there? A little bit of weird texture mapping. Anyways, yeah, that really hurts. Nothing you can really do about a Tremor just raining down shells on you from the high ground up there. It's just a pain. Spybot in the right spot at the right time. Beautiful Spybot connection right there. Gonna open up the, or gonna shut down rather that push from the blue commander over on that northern side. Really, really nicely done. I appreciate that play quite a lot. Sumos and Sheldons are all we have. We're going for a T3 transition. Okay. Tolero going all the way up to T3. It could certainly work. We're on triple fusion production, which is certainly enough to afford one of those T3 gantries. Not the end of the world, but it does mean that there's no reinforcements on the front line, so these units have to trade extremely efficiently, at least for a little while that T3 lab comes up and running. There are Arbiters in the mix, so what that means is that you need to keep moving. Arbiter's always going to blast you to smithereens if you don't keep your army well on the move. Oh, EMP bombers coming in. EMP bombing feels like it's been on point here. So far targeting down just the most valuable targets possible. Always important to keep those EMP bombers on the move. Nice breakthrough over here. Ocean Song. Take me... Never mind. That isn't the song. Ocean Man, that's the one I'm thinking of. Breaking through over here. Going for mass thugs. Well, I suppose it works. We do have fiends in the mix here as well, which is always quite nice. Little commander snipe over here. Commander goes down. Heavy tanks survive the blast, but they do lose their leader. They lose -5 morale. It's a made-up word. Made-up term. Units don't really have morale in this game. They're mostly robots. They'll fight to the very last. Quaker's trying to charge forward. Not exactly their role, though. Yeah, we're just slowly but surely yielding ground right here to stall for the T3 gantry. It is tough, because the more ground you give up, the more metal extractors you give up, so it's a bit of a timing issue. All said and done, though, I think it probably will come up in time. Eggroll here, feeling the sting of those gunships. The Tremor is spotted. Very annoying. Tremor is essentially the definition of fire saturation. You just take an area of the map and you turn it into bullets. You just fill all the empty space in that area with as many bullets as you can, as many projectiles. Works pretty good, actually. It's the old Cortex tried and true. EMP bombers coming in here. Still no reaction from the air player. Yeah, pink fighters are up in the air, but they're not on the front lines whatsoever. Salamander's extremely resistant to EMP, by the way. One of their superpowers. Not something we see all too often, but it is something worth considering. For instance, can't manage to get any really important anti-air up in the mix. You can always go for that EMP-resistant army, as opposed to an army that can shoot down the EMP bombers. That was a nice bit of bombing right there, separating the Fiends from the Sheldon and the Arbiters, meaning that these first Shiva that come out on the map are going to have a much easier time dealing with all this. Obviously, you want to save up and have as many Shiva as possible before pushing back here, but really, Talaro really just can't afford to lose any more ground over here. We need to push back with these Shiva almost immediately. Are we going to T3 yet? No, we're just going up to an APHIS, so we're going to stay in T2 production. Oh, no, actually, there's a T3 gantry staring me right in the face right there. Okay, so we are planning on going on T3 eventually here. Red Commander is up to T2. We're going to have snipers and welders. You know it's one of my favorite compositions. The welders essentially acting as the scouts here. We do have an inclusion of a couple of ticks and pawns, so contributing a little bit there as well. What on earth shot that plasma projectile? Oh, it's a gauntlet down here. Interesting. Well, it's a little light when you go into the T2 era, but it certainly can contribute? Question mark? I'm not sure. Probably not really. Got to keep the sharpshooters alive, but it is tricky to move the sharpshooters through the Tremor's field of fire over here. You can see it just saturates this entire area with projectile. Ooh, EMP bombing? Ah, nice EMP bombing. Beautiful EMP bombing. Yeah, Montezuma completely stunned right there. And there's nothing left to follow through. That is the bummer of being an air player. Sometimes you make these really killer plays and there's just nobody left to help you come through with those and seal the deal, right? All the EMP bombers in the world can't do anything against, well, anything. They can paralyze a whole lot, but they can't really shoot down. Big old breakaway force over here. There's a lot of T1. Wow, a lot of Centurions, actually. Centurion Hound is definitely one of those mixtures that we've definitely seen work out pretty well. Blue player calls GG's. The welders are in the main base and starting to tear apart all those solar panels. Fusion reactor is also denied right here. Yeah, it's one of those problems with building your entire facility on the front line is even a little bit of pushback and suddenly they're in your main facility. Is that an energy converter? Man, we never get to see the wreckages of these things. Usually they self-destruct in such an explosive way that we never get to see the wreckages, but there we go. Solar panels going down one by one. EMP bombers trying desperately to slap a band-aid on this situation. We do have fiends here to mop all this up eventually. Yeah, the sharpshooters just too powerful. There we go. The entire T2 lab evaporates under a single sharpshooter shot. In case you were questioning their power. This would be another great target for anti-air here. Sorry, for EMP here. The gauntlet. The hero gauntlet will go down. But the gunship's got a commander snipe. Oh, Zykus' commander way too far forward there. Not sure exactly what he was doing up there. Eventually, a lot of those bombers will be shot down by the T2 airplanes. For the time being, though, I think those airplanes definitely flipped the tables right here and allowed the blue team to restabilize their northern side. Purple commander has an APHIS up and running, is also going for a couple of these rocket spiders. I'm curious what the rocket spiders are intended for. Not really any impressive terrain for those rocket spiders to take advantage of. Shiva pushing forward right here. There was a big Shiva push earlier, but didn't manage to kill the lab over here. Actually, a fabulous defense, yeah. Managed to defend with just the single pop-up turret as well as the Tsar. Shiva are continuing to march forward, though. Resbot's eating up all that metal and turning it into units, though, and that's really the important part. There are Spybots out as well, so we could see a good Spybot connection here with a whole bunch of these Shiva. The problem with stunning the Shiva but not killing them is that it just buys time for more Shiva reinforcements to hit the front line. That can definitely be a bit tricky. Down goes the Tsar that was parked right on that base plate up there. A couple of ticks moving forward on the northern side here, trying to find a little bit of damage. Shiva marching forward right now, deploying their condensed matter projectiles. Ooh, Spybot connections. Well, they're all right, actually. Paralyzing about half of the Shiva on the front lines right there. Not the end of the world. The friendly fire really doing more damage than anything else. That is the Shiva's biggest weakness, is the amount of friendly fire that they commit. I don't know if I like those Zars here. They're so slow and so stationary that they really just get blasted apart by the missiles on the backs of those Shiva, and eventually they're just completely destroyed. Then again, I'm not sure if the Shiva is the right decision here. I think Karganeth might work just a little bit better. Karganeth are, I believe, twice the price of a Shiva. I think they're 2,500. Mammoth is out here. Push forward. Push, push, push. Oh, the Shiva have got to start pushing forward right now. What? They're staying completely still here. Okay, this is one of those cases where you're busy fighting your opponent's army, but not their economy here. We've taken down the T2 lab at the very least, so that's quite nice to see. At the very least, the T2 lab will be out of commish for a little while here. But we didn't manage to actually kill any of the fusions or anything. Oh no. Yeah, the Shiva are gonna go down on this front here. We have reinforcements, but I think we need to build up another big wave. Yeah, another big wave of Shiva might clear this up quite nicely. There's also air up in the sky, those gunships. Karganeth costing 2,500. Oh, so not even 2x, just 1,000 extra metal. EMP bombers again to shut down a whole bunch of units pushing forward over here. Glad to see that the air player is on top of it as far as keeping the push on the northern side contained. weird to see this northern side falling. This is typically the side that should be aggressing into the red team quite a bit harsher. We're sort of playing this map backwards, it feels like, yeah. The southern side pushing in 2 versus 1, and the northern side pushing in 2 versus 1. Very bizarre. Wow, that is a lot of thugs here, too. Can't help but feel like at this point we're wasting a little bit of metal with this thug production. These are 140 apiece. My goodness. Very, very expensive. Resbot's patching things up. I think I'd probably go after the Shiva there. Oh, a little bit of a voice crack. Been recording all day. Maybe need to go take a break. A little worried I'm not quite over my sickness still. I feel like I'm like 99% better, but you never know until at least a week later or so. Anywho. Resbots will pick up the Shiva eventually, but this star, absolutely no shot. Down it goes. And the next wave of Shiva is here. And these win, right? I mean, I guess we have the pop-up turrets. Those pop-up turrets can do a lot of work. You know what? I was discounting the pop-up turrets. Certainly those Scorpions are going to be able to do quite a lot. It all comes down to the micro right here. And I don't think any of these Shiva are being microed. Essentially, we need to kill these pop-up turrets. That's the main source of damage being dealt right here. The Zars aren't realistically doing very much damage per second. With a little pop-up turret that could. Firing away, though. My goodness, did we actually hold here? Wow. I cannot believe that those pop-up turrets actually held that. That is fabulous. The Orange Commander showing some real chutzpah, holding their line wonderfully. I mean, this is just more and more metal going down. If these Shiva aren't going to push in here, they're just going to die on this front line, then it's just more and more metal going to the scrapyard. In fact, it's worse than going to the scrapyard. They're going directly into your opponent's hands. Man, we did have that Supreme Isthmus game a good long while ago where we watched that one player throw Shiva away in a big spam for, it must have been 10 minutes that player spammed Shiva and they're wasting hundreds of thousands of metal. I can't help but feel a little turned off from the Shiva ever since then. And I feel like this is another great example. Here's a demon burning through these Shiva as well. Let's see, 1,500 for a Shiva, 6,000 for a demon. So essentially 4 Shivas to 1 demon. Yeah, I wonder if maybe this many Shiva, how many Shiva do we have on the map right now? 7? Yeah, so let's say 2 demons plus, you know, all these corpses over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Say 5 demons total. Maybe not exactly a fair comparison because, of course, not only Shiva died at exactly the same time and were built at the same time, but anyways, you can imagine 5 demons might have had way more of an effect right here than this, you know, however many Shiva, which are coming back to life, by the way, being resurrected and set back up in orange. Mass Resbot spam. I think that's the right idea. You can reclaim from the debris fields, and you can resurrect the units that are fallen over. This could be really, really big. I appreciate that we're reclaiming here off the front lines from both players. We do have Resbots all over the place. Razorbacks holding the line up here, but there are so many sharpshooters. How many sharpshooters are we at now? 9 sharpshooters in total. I think more than enough to blast down these Razorbacks. And we do have the welders here in front to tank as well, so all should be pretty good. Yeah, those Razorbacks are going to feel the sting of the sharpshooter. Boom, and away they go, leaving behind nothing but a little bit of a debris field. Those sharpshooter, man, they are powerful. Difficult to underestimate or understate how powerful those sharpshooters can be. Still just Shiva production. Yeah. The longer this goes on, the more I feel uncomfortable about it. We do have a catapult on the front at the very least, so maybe that'll be able to rein in a little bit of damage here. Maybe hit some of these Resbots in the back line. What does the blue commander see, out of curiosity? Oh, there's no radar over here. No radar over here means he must not be able to figure out what is actually going on. How many units are being resurrected over there. Another demon is sent forward here. The demons are great, but they're paper thin. Down it goes, directly into the dirt. I can't help but feel like these Razorback are slowly but surely going to be fed to the machine here. We have, well, no, not these ones, sorry. We have 7 Shiva up for the Orange Commander now, all resurrected, and all being sent to the front. But because the Resbots are out right here for the Orange Commander, it doesn't really matter if these Shiva go down, because every Shiva that they kill is essentially going to be another one on the pile that they can resurrect later. Oh, this is so strange. Yep, more and more Shiva coming up in the back line. Not to mention all the repair power that these little Resbots have, of course. Sending grunt spam, says the Hot Pink Commander. Catapult's certainly quite nice, but you need to build a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them, and then you need to set them on hold fire. This one is on hold fire, so that's quite nice. What you want to do is you want to have them all fire at the same time, because a single catapult firing into the distance is not going to be able to do all too much. However, 3 or 4 of them firing at the same spot in the distance can turn that entire area into glass. And that's more of the effect that you're really looking for. A little bit less predictable when you're just using one, and you're not likely to do a whole lot of damage, but when you start to get them together, they can really put the hurt on. Demon sneaking up this ramp, by the way, and taking out the spamulatory. Love to see that. Those T1 labs will be going down here, shutting down the spam for the red commander. Meanwhile, all the rest of this is being addressed over on the right-hand side. We do have, a Cerberus over here as well for the blue team. Lovely. Now, like I said earlier, the demon is made of paper, so the sharpshooters, yeah, you can see just how much damage they really do. Very, very nice. Despite the crazy DPS on the demon, it does not have very thick armor plating, and so indeed it will go down. A little bit of a runaway over here, run by rather. Ocean Song. Take me by the long... No, it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. I want it to work, but it just doesn't work. Sending a couple of fiends through, getting a little bit of damage on those advanced metal extractors, but all said and done, not able to kill the yellow commander here. My goodness. I think the orange commander's actually doing it. Hats off to 7511, who's actually managing to push back all of these Shiva right here. This is wild. Goes to show just how dangerous those Resbots can be. We do have a counter catapult being set up here as well. Catapult does take out a whole bunch of those Resbots. It's worth keeping in mind that the Resbots are radar stealth, so you won't detect them with the radar, you only detect them with line of sight. Important to keep in mind because, obviously, if you're trying to fire away at them in the distance, you don't know their precise location based on radar. You need some sort of spam services. Pulsars being set up across the map right here, trying desperately to blast things down. Yeah, there we go. Hornet's also going to come to the rescue here. Hornet's doing huge single target damage. They're great at dealing with, well, basically this exact push right here. Whole bunch of bulls breaking through. Demon also sent down south to try and stabilize the line. Loads of Razorbacks being pumped out on the northern side. Okay, we need a T3 transition here. We're starting up the APHIS, and we've got the economy rapidly scaling right here for the red commander. That is a lot of APHISes, though. We're going up to 9 APHISes, and I think that's just way too many. We need T3 long before that. Look at how much of the res field is available right here, though. My goodness. Yeah, every single one of these Shiva has been resurrected and put up on the front lines. I just took my headphones off and it's raining quite harshly outside. I thought the shower was running or something. Okay, anyways, sorry. A little distracted there. All of these Shiva have been resurrected. Yeah, you can see the halos and all of them. We're even microing back some of the injured ones. Lovely stuff. This is beautiful. This is really, really beautiful. Man, one of the things that I absolutely love about Beyond All Reason, one of the things that drew me in all those, I mean, I don't know, like a year ago at this point? Forever ago. One of the things that drew me in was the wreckage fields. It's one of those unique properties. I mean, maybe not unique against like TA or Supreme Commander or something like that, but the idea of reclaiming in perspective with other games like StarCraft or, I mean, even some of those new ones. What was the, not Heroes of the Storm, what am I thinking of? Stormgate, that's the one. All those RTS games, all those other RTS games, they don't really have a mechanic quite like it, and I think it's awesome. It allows you, for instance, as the Orange Commander has done, to come back from a comeback mechanic, or use the comeback mechanic to break back into the game, and not only break back in, but completely overwhelm your opponent over here. So now, oh, this is cheeky. Okay, so we do have the air player, right? Civ is the air player? Yeah, the air player Civ, going for a little bit of T2 static defense over here. We've set up a whole bunch of pulsars everywhere just to kind of hold the lines. We've also got a shield generator up. Quite nice. Gonna stop some of those Shiva projectiles here. That is a good bit of teamwork. You know, this is a little unconventional, but I don't mind it whatsoever. I feel like as an air player, there's a lot of different options you can go for. One of them being obviously going for a whole bunch of bombers and trying to win that way. But the other option, of course, is something like this, where you just go for a support role. You can lend your build power to different factories, right? You can help boost out units if you need to. You can build some static defense, all that sort of stuff. Very, very good to see. It's a little bit of a non-traditional way of playing, but I like it quite a lot. Catapult firing into the distance here. Oh, those missiles hurt quite a lot. Yeah, okay, we'll manage to snipe that shield generator. That's quite nice. Takes out the T2 constructor over here as well, so no more T2 buildings are going to come up for a good long while. Always good to see. The pulsars are quite nice, though. At the very least, it gives a fallback point here for the blue commander. Those catapults firing away into the distance, though. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah, those catapults, man, they are powerful. Wow. The purple Air Force sent across the map. It's all T1, so I wouldn't expect all too much, but then again, it's 27 T1. Going to be rapidly deploying directly on top of a lot of this. Oh, we're going after the aphises. We are going after the aphises. A lot of those bombs hit the unfinished aphis right there. Obviously not going to explode if it gets hit. I would love to see a retarget try and take out some of this squishier stuff. Those Stormbringers, they do not have the DPS to snipe those aphises. Okay. Luckily for the red commander, able to stabilize after that crazy amount of aggression over there. Purple commander still with a lot of T3 units though, and did get an excellent scout of exactly how much is up there, and maybe, just maybe, would be able to break through. I think that's enough Razorbacks. Certainly, the blue commander taps out, by the way, who hasn't had any constructors for a good long while. Oh, nice Hornet play as well. Yeah, the Hornets jump on top of all this. There are some Manticores here. Gonna start shooting away. Honestly, I think the Hornets could beat the Manticores. Manticore's really, really bad AA. They're about the worst anti-air choice that you can go for. Unironically, I would rather have a bunch of T1 anti-air rather than the Manticores. Just because the T1 anti-air at the very least could take out multiple targets. The Manticore, this goes doubly for the Archangel. Just not very efficient whatsoever. It's a really, really bad choice as far as anti-air goes. Obviously, you don't have very many options when you're going into bots. It's kind of the only thing you can afford. The only tech path that you can really have. But it definitely doesn't feel like a good choice. And there go those Razorbacks marching forward. Yeah, I have a feeling there's nothing that can be built here in order to shut this down. We go for an emergency pulsar here while still going for the Aphis. I feel like one of these is higher priority here, and maybe we should target that one specifically. If I were a Razorback, I'd definitely go after a whole bunch of these fusion reactors, especially the Aphises over here. The problem with pulsars, by the way, is they can fire once, but with units rapidly encroaching right here, not sure they're going to be able to do all too much after that. Yeah, there you go. So you managed to fire one time, didn't kill anything, and now the Razorbacks are on top of it. Oh, nice EMP bomb. Oh, doesn't manage to paralyze those Razorbacks, though. That is a bummer. And indeed, two of those Razorbacks do latch onto the Aphises, popping the economy right there for the red commander, and folding this entire northern side of the map. Shiva's continuing to march in, by the way. Atomic bombers trying desperately to shoot them down. Bomb them down, I should say. Doesn't matter, though, as the Aphis lights up here for the yellow commander as well, sending the entire northern side of the red team to the dust. Southern side, well, not as fruitful as it once was. I think the orange commander got a little complacent with how effective that spam of resbots was working. Sort of ran out of steam once the res field was eventually taken over once more by the teal commander, the cyan commander, I mean. Would definitely be well worthwhile to go after a little bit of a crazy economic growth here. Sending some fighters over in this direction. There's a lot of anti-air available. That's always nice. EMP bombers shutting down this entire composition, allowing those Hornets to blow up everything. EMP bombers are so cringe. You know what? I disagree. I think EMP bombers are awesome. There go the Hornets. Ready to target down that Aphis over here. Beautiful targeting right there. Finds the weak link and manages to blow it all the way to Kingdom Come. Lovely, lovely stuff right there. At this point, Tolero's strategy here to continue losing ground will eventually work. Just has to wait for the teammates to eventually clear through on this northern side. There's the Razorbacks pushing forward right now. Looks like a nuke exploded over there. Razorbacks pushing forward. There we go. Aphis does light up, and that takes out the air player. Taking out the air player effectively means there's no more air forces anyway. No airplanes left for the blue team. My goodness. Can we reroute the bombers? Nope. And that pretty much means they're going to be incredibly susceptible to those gunships, to any sort of bombing plays, anything like that. If you're looking for a quick way to close out one of these games, one of the easiest is sending forward constructors to eat up all these wreckages. The other is to send forward constructors, especially combat engineers, to build all the metal extractors on your enemy's portion of the map. Very, very easy way to double your economy. Demon quite good at cleaning up ticks back there. Pop go the energy converters. Fusion reactor. Not going to last much longer. There it goes. I think the blue team has done it. I particularly like the way that the air player played this. Civ, I mean. Using those air constructors as mobile build power to set up defenses all around the map for the team. Correctly assessing that the southern side was falling and rapidly setting up a couple of pulsars down there. I like that quite a bit. I think that's a novel way to play air. Something we don't see all too often, and obviously a beautiful, beautiful push and counter push right here on the northern side. Absolutely thought the red player had it for just a minute, but the reinforcements from his teammate managed to eventually clutch a victory for the blue team. What an awesome match of Beyond All Reason. If you do enjoy, and you enjoy daily Beyond All Reason matches, you're more than welcome to subscribe to the Brightworks, where I post a single video every single day detailing a match that I found interesting and Beyond All Reason. But more importantly than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.